Everyone tells you if he's not reaching out, it's because he's not interested. That's a complete lie. A man's silence is much more complex than that. And if you don't understand what it really means, you'll keep misinterpreting everything. After years of helping women who wonder why he's not calling, why he doesn't respond to messages, why he disappears without explanation, I realized something that left me frozen. The problem isn't that they can't read the signs. The problem is that they've been taught to misread male silence. Since they were girls, they were told that if a man doesn't pursue you, it's because he's not interested. They were told that love is shown through constant communication. They were told that if he really loved you, he'd message you every day. And all these lies have made them interpret every silence as rejection, every pause as disinterest, every moment without a message as a sign that something is wrong. Today we're going to dismantle that confusion once and for all, because a man's silence is not random, nor is it a mystery without explanation. It's a clear signal, a reflection of what's happening inside him. And by the time you finish this video, you'll know exactly what to do when he doesn't reach out, without losing your center, your peace, or your personal power. Before you say, "But I already know all this," let me ask you something. The last time he didn't message you for 2 days, did you keep your energy steady? Did you avoid checking your phone obsessively? Did you not start creating stories in your head about what could be happening? If your answer is no, then you need to stay until the end of this video. As Carl Jung says, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Stoicism can help you interpret his distance without losing your personal power. And here's what no one tells you about this ancient philosophy. It's not about becoming cold or insensitive. It's about staying centered while the world moves around you. This may sound harsh, but you need to hear it. Sometimes silence is an unconscious tactic to observe how you react when he pulls away. Not all men do it with bad intentions, but they do it. And here's the part that pains me the most to admit. It often works. Have you ever found yourself sending casual messages after he's gone quiet for days? "How are you? Is everything okay? Haven't heard from you." You ask if he's all right. You explain why you haven't heard from him. You start justifying why you didn't text. If your answer is yes, he's seeing exactly what he wanted to see, that you're emotionally dependent on his attention. And here comes what truly breaks my heart. Many incredible, intelligent women, successful in their careers, completely lose their power when it comes to interpreting male silence. Women who run businesses, who raise children alone, who've overcome enormous obstacles, turn into insecure versions of themselves when he doesn't respond to a message. Some men, whether intentionally or not, distance themselves to see if you'll chase them and if your world crumbles in their absence. If you need them to feel okay, it becomes an unintentional psychological experiment where your reaction tells them everything they need to know about the power they hold over you. Here's what nobody tells you. Every time you react desperately to his silence, every time you shift your energy because of his absence, you're giving away a power he doesn't deserve. You're teaching him that he can control you without even being present. But here comes the most important part. Stoicism teaches that your value isn't defined by who reaches out to you. It's defined by how you stay centered when they don't. A woman who remains grounded when he doesn't call, who continues living her life normally, who doesn't shift her energy because of his absence, that woman is the one who truly holds power. Do you know what happens when a woman doesn't react to the silence? When he returns, because sooner or later he will, he finds someone who wasn't waiting for him. He finds a woman who kept living, working, creating, connecting. And that difference, believe me, he feels immediately. Tell me in the comments if you've ever gone through this. Have you ever felt like you had to prove you weren't needy right when you needed him the most? Because that inner contradiction is exactly where we lose our power. Now comes a truth that may hurt, but will completely set you free. Sometimes his silence is not a punishment or a manipulation. It's not about you at all. He's simply focused on his own goals, his own pursuits, or even his own distractions. He's prioritizing himself without, and in many cases, that's exactly what he should be doing. Men have this ability to compartmentalize that's often hard for women to understand. They can be fully immersed in a work project, a family issue, a personal goal. And during that time, relationships take a backseat. Not because they don't care, but because that's how they process things. This can be incredibly frustrating, especially when you do have time for him, when you are thinking about him, when you make space in your day to message him, to check in, to maintain that connection. And he seems totally disconnected. But here's the revelation that changes everything. His silence is a perfect invitation for you to return to yourself. It's the universe saying, while he's in his world, build yours. When was the last time you went days without wondering if he messaged you? When was the last time you were so focused on your own projects that you forgot to check your phone for his texts? When was the last time you woke up excited about something you were going to do, not something you were hoping he would do? These questions are uncomfortable because they reveal just how much of our emotional well-being we've placed in someone else's hands. How much of our daily happiness depends on the attention we receive instead of the attention we give ourselves. You weren't born to orbit around anyone. You are your own universe, with your own goals, dreams, and priorities. You have a life to build, milestones to reach, people to love, experiences to live. While he's in his world, build yours. While he's silent, find your voice. While he's distancing himself, come closer to yourself. And here's what happens when you truly do this. When you genuinely focus on your own life, when he comes back, because eventually he will, he won't find a woman waiting for him. He'll find a woman who's busy, focused, with stories to tell, with projects to share, with an interesting life to invite him into. He'll find a woman who didn't need him to be happy, who didn't put her life on hold waiting for his attention, who didn't pause her world because he went silent. And that difference, believe me, he'll feel it instantly. Because there's a completely different energy in a woman who is happy on her own versus one who needs outside validation to be okay. Now we've arrived at the part no one wants to face, but we must, with courage. Yes, sometimes silence is disinterest, harsh but true, and the sooner you accept it, the sooner you stop fighting against this truth, the faster you free yourself from illusions that only drain your energy. Here's what I've learned after years of watching women cling to men who clearly make no effort. Attachment is the real enemy, not loss. Attachment to an idea, to a potential, to what could be instead of what actually is. Do you know the difference between a woman who suffers for years over a man who doesn't value her and one who frees herself quickly? The second understands that if he leaves, it's because something better is coming. She doesn't waste time trying to convince someone to love her. She doesn't exhaust herself trying to prove her worth to someone who can't see it. The woman who frees herself quickly understands that true love doesn't require convincing, chasing, or losing yourself just to keep someone interested. And let me tell you something that might sound controversial but is a truth you need to hear. A man who loses interest for no valid reason, who disappears without explanation, who lacks the decency to communicate his feelings, he's doing you a huge favor. He's showing you who he really is before you invest more time, energy, or hope. He's revealing his communication skills, his emotional maturity, his respect for you as a person. And if all of that is lacking, do you really want to build something serious with someone like that? The universe has strange ways of protecting you. Sometimes protection comes in the form of silence. Sometimes the best answer you can receive is no answer at all, because that absence tells you everything you need to know. Here's what happens when you shift your perspective on this. Instead of seeing his lack of interest as a personal failure, you start seeing it as valuable information. Instead of asking, "What did I do wrong?" you begin asking, "What is this telling me about him?" But there's also this reality we can't ignore. Many men were never taught how to express emotions effectively. Their silence may be their way of processing stress, confusion, or even their own emotional immaturity. Society raises men to believe that vulnerability is weakness, that talking about feelings is for women, that they must solve everything alone. So when they feel emotionally overwhelmed, their automatic response is to withdraw, process in silence, disconnect temporarily. Here's what Stoicism teaches. Don't carry what isn't yours. His internal struggles, his inability to communicate, his way of dealing with stress, those are not your responsibility. You don't have to interpret everything as a personal rejection. Sometimes silence says more about his inner world than about your personal worth. A man might be going through anxiety and not know how to explain it. He could be dealing with depression and not want to drag you down with his low energy. He might be facing financial problems and feel like he can't be the man he wants to be for you until he fixes them. But here's the crucial point. Understanding all this doesn't mean you have to tolerate it indefinitely. Compassion does not mean blind acceptance. Empathy does not mean sacrificing your own emotional needs. Here's what is your responsibility: deciding whether you want to be with someone who handles their emotions that way. Deciding whether you can accept those periods of silence as part of who he is, or if you need someone with better emotional communication. Because understanding doesn't mean infinite tolerance. You can understand why someone acts a certain way and still decide that it's not compatible with what you need in a relationship. Now we come to the deepest and most transformative part. Instead of seeing his silence as an offense or a signal that you need to do more, ask yourself if this isn't the perfect moment to return to yourself, to grow, to focus on your path, your projects, your essence. This is the perspective that changes everything. His silence as an opportunity, his absence as an invitation, his distance as a space for you to grow. What would happen if, instead of asking, "Why isn't he reaching out?" you asked, "What can I create while he's not here?" What would happen if, instead of waiting for his message, you focused on sending messages of love to yourself? What if you used this time of silence to reconnect with friends you've neglected, to finish that course you left halfway through, to start that project you've been postponing, to get back to the gym, to read those books, to explore those hobbies you abandoned? Real power isn't about controlling others, it's about mastering your response to them. While he stays silent, you can become stronger, fuller, more interesting. While he's absent, you can become more present in your own life. I've seen women who used a man's silence as a catalyst to completely transform their lives. Women who launched businesses, went back to school, reconnected with friends, rediscovered passions they had buried because they were too focused on a relationship. And here's what happens when a woman transforms in his absence, when he returns and finds someone more powerful, more centered, more complete. The dynamic changes completely. You're no longer the woman who waits, you're the woman who chooses. Because here's a truth few understand. Men are drawn to women who have rich, full lives beyond them, not women who need them to feel whole, but women who want them, yet don't need them desperately. This may be the most important point of the entire video. Silence strips away distractions, leaves you alone with yourself, and that's where the essential question arises. The one that defines everything. Who are you when he doesn't respond? That question is brutal, but necessary, because it reveals exactly where your power lies and where you've given it away. Do you lose yourself when he doesn't respond? Do you feel empty? Do you start questioning everything about yourself? Do you become anxious, insecure, needy? Or do you meet a woman who is strong, centered, and complete on her own? The answer to that question determines everything. It determines how men see you. It determines the kinds of relationships you attract. It determines whether your power is real or borrowed. This is the difference between a woman who lives for male attention and a woman who lives from her own center. The first crumbles in silence. The second blooms in solitude. And here's what happens with those women. They rarely experience long silences because men can feel their energy. They sense that these women aren't desperate for attention, that they won't fall apart if no one reaches out, that they have a full, rich life beyond the relationship. Men can feel when a woman has options, when she isn't attached, when she can be just fine without them. And that energy is magnetic and not from need, but from wholeness. The true battleground of Stoicism is not in conquering others, it's in conquering yourself. And when you do that, when you become your own source of validation, peace, and happiness, other people's silence stops being a threat and becomes an opportunity. But let me be honest with you. Getting to this point is not easy. It requires deep inner work. It requires facing your insecurities, your fears, your patterns of emotional dependence. It requires building a truly authentic relationship with yourself. Many women ask me, but how do I stop caring when he doesn't reach out? And I always tell them the same thing. It's not about not caring. It's about caring more about your peace than his attention. It's about building a life so rich, so meaningful, so full of purpose that his silence can't empty it. It's about having so many sources of joy, satisfaction, and connection that the absence of one doesn't destroy you. And here's what really excites me to tell you. When a woman achieves this, when she truly builds that internal solidity, it doesn't just change her relationship with men, it changes everything. Her relationship with work, with friends, with family, with herself. Because the same power that allows you to stay centered when he doesn't reach out is the same power that helps you negotiate better at work, set healthy boundaries with your family, and choose friendships that truly nourish you. Now that you know the 6 real reasons behind male silence, we reach the question that really matters. What will you do with this information? How will you apply it to your real life? Because understanding is only the first step. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. Transformation is real when you change how you respond, when you integrate these principles into your daily life. Here's what I want you to do the next time he doesn't reach out. I want you to pause before picking up the phone, before sending that casual message, before creating stories in your head. I want you to take a deep breath and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Not what you need from him, but what you need. Do you need peace? Do you need movement or exercise? Do you need to call a friend? Work on that project. Take time for yourself. And then I want you to do that. I want you to give yourself what you need instead of waiting for him to give it to you. Because here's the magic. When you become your own source of care, attention, and validation, when you treat yourself the way you deserve to be treated, you naturally start attracting people who treat you the same way. His silence is not a command to go chasing him. It's an invitation to return to yourself. Every time he doesn't reach out and you stay centered, every time he doesn't reply and you remain focused on your life, every time he disappears and you don't disappear from your own existence, you are building something no one can take from you, your personal power. And here's something I want you to understand on a deep level. This power isn't just about attracting better men. It's about living better. It's about sleeping peacefully, waking up excited for your day, making decisions from clarity instead of fear. Because listen, one thing is to intellectually understand that you shouldn't chase a man who doesn't pursue you. But it's something entirely different to feel that truth in your bones. To feel that you truly deserve someone who puts in effort, who communicates with you, who doesn't leave you guessing about his intentions. And here's what I've noticed in every woman who goes through this transformation. They stop justifying behavior they used to tolerate. They stop making excuses for men who don't prioritize them. They stop settling for crumbs of attention when they deserve the whole feast. Do you know what's the most liberating part of all this? When you stop chasing someone who doesn't look for you, you instantly make space for someone who will. When you stop pouring your energy into one-sided relationships, that energy stays with you, and you use it to build something better. I've seen women come back to me after applying these principles saying, I can't believe I used to tolerate so much silence. I can't believe I once panicked over the attention of someone who clearly wasn't interested. I can't believe my self-worth used to depend so heavily on male attention. And that is the real transformation. You don't just change how you react to silence. You change what you're willing to accept. You raise your standards. You change your relationship with yourself. Because here's a truth you need to carve into your heart. The woman who stays firm, without begging, without giving up, without losing herself, is the woman no man ever forgets. Not because she's hard to get, but because she's impossible to replace. Do you know why she's impossible to replace? Because she's not following a script she learned to attract men. She's simply being authentically herself. She's living from her truth, from her power, from her center. That kind of authenticity can't be faked. It can't be copied. It can't be replaced. Because it comes from years of inner work, self-discovery, learning how to value herself without needing external validation. When a woman knows her worth, when she doesn't panic for attention, when she can be fully content on her own, she radiates an energy that draws people in effortlessly, not from manipulation, but from authenticity, not from need, but from wholeness. And I want you to know something important. Not every woman arrives at this point at the same time. Some need to go through painful experiences to awaken to their power. Others realize it right away. Both paths are okay. The important thing isn't how long it takes, it's that you intend to get there, that each day you make choices that bring you closer to becoming that powerful, centered woman. The one who doesn't beg for love because she knows she deserves it without asking. His silence might be a test, a distraction, an internal conflict, or just plain disinterest. But your response to that silence is what defines who you are. It determines whether you come out of this weakened or empowered. And here's what I've seen over and over again. Women who use their challenges as opportunities for growth, who see obstacles as training grounds, who transform pain into power, those women become unstoppable, not just in love, but in everything. Because the skills you build to stay centered during a man's silence are the exact same skills that make you thrive in every area of your life. The ability to not take things personally, to keep your self-esteem independent of other people's actions, to stay focused on your goals regardless of outside distractions. So next time he doesn't reach out, instead of asking yourself what you did wrong, ask yourself what you can do right. Instead of waiting for him, find yourself. Instead of chasing him, build a life so interesting that he wants to be part of it, not out of need, but out of admiration. Instead of asking, why isn't he texting me? Ask, what can I create today? Instead of checking your phone obsessively, check your goal list obsessively. Instead of analyzing his last words, analyze your next steps. Because at the end of the day, it's not about decoding male silence. It's about building an inner world so strong, so rich, so complete that no one else's silence can shake it. It's about creating a life so full of purpose, passion, and joy that no person's absence could ever drain it. It's about being so whole on your own that anyone who enters your life is a bonus, not a necessity. And that doesn't mean becoming cold or closed off to love. It means the opposite. It means loving from a place of fullness, not lack. It means offering the best of you because you have so much to give, not because you're hoping to receive something in return. When you reach that point, when you truly live that way, you'll realize that the power was always within you. You just needed to remember it. You just needed to reclaim it. You just needed to decide that you deserve to be loved the right way, by someone who chooses to stay, not by someone you have to convince. I'd love to know which of these 6 insights resonated most with you. Have you experienced any of these situations? Did you recognize yourself in any of these dynamics? Share your story in the comments because your experience could help another woman going through the same thing. Don't be afraid to be honest. We've all been there. We've all lost our power at some point. The difference is choosing to take it back. Remember, you didn't come into this world to be someone's option. You came to be your own priority. You didn't come to beg for love. You came to radiate so much self-love that you naturally attract those who know how to value you. Your power is not in the hands of someone who reaches out or doesn't. Your power is in your hands. Use it wisely. If this message helped you see male silence from a new perspective, if it gave you real tools to hold on to your personal power, give it a like and share it with that friend who needs to hear this, because together we're stronger.